What is going on? It's the morning time. It's weird. My lighting extra bright because of this sun shining in from above. But what's going on? I appreciate everybody for tuning in this morning for the first morning show edition of the show. I made a comment in the last live stream. If we get furloughed, I'm not gonna have nothing to do, so I'm gonna do a morning show. And voila, here we are with a morning show. So we're gonna talk about some finance things, furlough, laid off, people who are at the end of the fork in the road deferred resignation program. We're going to talk about how those persons are doing in the job hunt game. And we got a couple of news stories that we're going to talk about as well. As always, I appreciate you all tuning in. If you get some value out of this content, I invite you to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And a shout out to everybody who supports the channel, and a big round of applause for the content for the channel members. I want to give a shout out to Lisa J. Stocks. Great finance advice. I was actually just I pointed somebody to your channel the other day because they are like throwing a lot of money at their home trying to pay it off, and I was like, yo, you should put that in like a brokerage account. But yeah, I was like, oh, you should check out this channel. It's pretty good because they were asking invest in basics, and I was like, oh, I know a perfect channel you can watch. MTH, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm here and I'm not at work, which means that I don't have a place of business to be at. So I guess the first thing is we all know what's going on. They couldn't come to a consensus on an agreement for a continuing resolution to finance the government for a few more weeks or until the end of the calendar year. So everything has came to an abrupt halt. Now, this one is a little bit different. I want to play this real quick clip of a comment that President Trump made in light of the furlough. So let me play this clip real quick, and we're going to talk about why this furlough is different. This is actually the first time I've ever been furloughed. So, hey, this is all new to me, but we're going to talk about why this furlough is a little bit different. Let's check out this clip, and then we're going to dive back in.
During a shutdown, essential federal employees are still required to work, but without pay. The last government shutdown back in 2018 lasted for 35 days. Many essential workers, including TSA officers and air traffic controllers, called out sick, saying without a paycheck, they could not afford childcare. That led to airport delays and even some flight cancellations.
That's crazy.
Workers across the government are also concerned after President Trump threatened to make permanent mass firings in programs that don't align with his priorities.
Now, y'all listen to President Trump's words, and then we're going to talk about why this furlough is a little bit different.
That don't align with his priorities.
We can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people.
No one on the Republican side wants to face what they have done. And that is they are taking away health care from millions of Americans and driving up the cost for every other American.
So what happens next? More votes are expected today, but senators are off tomorrow for the Yom Kippur holiday. So if there is no deal today, it'll be at least Friday before any progress. In the meantime, some Republican senators are reportedly working on a proposal to extend those Obamacare subsidies, but with restrictions. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
All right, so real quick, and it was very brief, but what President Trump said is, hey, we got some leverage. We can do some things, cut benefits. Then if you watch the full clip of what he said, but we just want to, it was a good way to backtrack, but we just want to make sure fraud isn't happening. This situation is a little bit different because I don't know how long it lasts. 1 day, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. It's actually highly probable that people are not going to have a job to go back to. Oh, it's normal at the airport today? Okay, hey, that's good. The first week or two is a little bit easier. People don't start to feel that pinch until, like, okay, go to work, still do your job, but don't get a paycheck. The first week or two, you might do it. But after the first 2 weeks, you're going to be like, nah, I ain't got no money for gas. Y'all going to pay for gas for me to come up here? If not, I don't know what to tell you. Now, how it works in the federal government, we got a few things, and I've been through it all. When as soon as Trump got elected and all the probationary employees were being terminated, you know who was a that's crazy. Sorry, I was reading the message, but yeah, when all of the terminations of the probationary employees were happening, you know who was a probationary employee? Me. I was and technically still am a probationary employee. So there's a lot of fear going out there. Typically in the federal government, when federal employees come back after furlough, they do get back pay. That was implemented by statute some years ago. I can't remember when because I actually didn't take a deep dive and look it up, but it was implemented by statute. So if you miss 2 weeks of work, when you get back, you're going to get the back pay for that. If you miss a month, you're going to get your 2 paychecks when you go back. That's generally not the worst situation to be in. Contractors are in a much more contentious position because it depends on the contracting company. If you work as a contractor with the federal government, your company may decide to pay you. They may not pay you. They may have some term in the contract that allows for a partial payment during these times where you get maybe 60 or 70% of what you normally would during times of a furlough. So it all depends. It was even a young attorney. He just started actually maybe like a month ago who sits outside of my office. And I actually pulled him aside yesterday. It was like, yo, like, you good with everything financially? Because I was going to point him to some resources that he could use. Now, in light of this, I'll tell you my position. And it's probably an unfair position because everybody's financial situation is different. But I think in most instances, most people will be able to figure out a couple of weeks without a paycheck, probably a month. 2 paychecks missed, if you know when you get back at day 35, you'll get your back pay, is probably manageable. When you start going past to week 6, when you talk about 3 paychecks, that's when things are going to become a problem. So typically, what I told people the best approach is cut back anything that you don't need. Reach out to your creditors, your financial institution. A lot of times they have programs in place. If you get a direct deposit to your bank account from the federal government, some financial institutions will offer interest-free loans that equate to your direct deposit for up to 2 checks or 3 checks. And then when the government starts back up, you get like 90 days to pay it back and it's interest-free. Some creditors will not or withhold payment, saying you don't have to make any payments during the course of the furlough if it's a utility bill or something to that effect. So what the worst thing you could do is just not say anything and pray the shit just work out, because if you do that, it's probably not going to work out. So the advice I gave that young brother was, if you got something, just reach out. And if you reach out in advance, people are probably going to be more willing to work with you. Or if they have a program, you're going to be first in line to step in place of that program. As for me, it's a little bit less problematic because, I mean, I have an emergency fund stashed away for stuff like this. As soon as President Trump won, I literally said no big purchases for the next 4 years. I don't want no cars, we ain't doing nothing crazy for the next 4 years, just because I was like, I don't really know what this economic climate is going to be like. So with that in mind, you should be either paying off high interest debt, saving your money, or investing your money. Literally, that was kind of the blueprint in the game plan. Now, I don't know. Y'all let me know, does one side or one party get the blame for this? The long story short of what's at issue is Republicans passed the big, beautiful bill. In that bill, there were a lot of cuts to some points within the Affordable Care Act that are set to expire. And when they expire, about 15 million people will probably lose their health care, and probably a higher percentage, from what I'm reading, 60 to 70% will actually see their premiums go up anywhere from 20 to 50% for the cost of their premium. So right now, Republicans need about 60 votes to pass any sort of continuing resolution to fund the government. They only have 57 votes, so they need some Democrats to jump on board. And Democrats are saying, yo, we aren't going to jump on board unless you're willing to extend some of these Affordable Care Act provisions to protect people and ensure that 15 million people don't get bumped out of healthcare. So now that you know the general facts, how does this normally go? Like, who are we blaming in the Congress? So are we blaming Republicans? Are we blaming Democrats? Are we blaming both sides equally? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Now, when we talk about these layoffs, how can I just say this? All jobs are not created equal. Some jobs, everybody contributes to the mission, but all jobs aren't created equal, even though every job contributes to the mission. So with these layoffs, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh man, this is illegal. He can't do it. I'm going to be honest. My general rule is he can do it until a court says otherwise. And the only court I really care about is the Supreme Court. I don't really care about the district courts saying, oh, he can't do this, but not reinstating people or reinstating people. Like, unless the Supreme Court says he can't do this, I'm going of the opinion that, hey, he can do it. The president can make these moves until the Supreme Court tells him and me otherwise, and I haven't seen that happen yet. So that's kind of the situation. Right now, I'm in the mode of I'm just playing it by ear, and I'm fortunate to not be in a state of panic. For people who are furloughed, it's actually not easy to go out and get another job. You can't just go out and say, you know what, I want to start doing Uber or Lyft, or I want to go out and get a job, just something part-time to hold things over, because you still have to go through the typical outside employment process, which is fill out an application saying, I want to work at this place, turn it into your supervisor approve it, it goes to some attorneys, it goes to ethics, they make sure that there's no conflict, and it's employment that's not at conflict with what your actual job role is. So it could be that there's nobody at work. There's only limited skeleton crews in the federal government. So it could be 1-2 weeks, even more, before an outside employment form is even approved. So it's just going to be a very difficult time. I hope everybody who is furloughed, y'all always have my prayers, but hopefully y'all have some contingencies in place. And number two is nobody going to give a damn about your financial situation more than you. I always say that. Nobody, like not even your spouse or your wife or your boyfriend. They don't give a damn. I've seen married couples and they like, no, those your bills. They not my bills. Those your bills. They not my bills. So, hey, you are responsible for your own shit. Now, let's take a pivot and talk about the folks who took the fork in the road. Because I actually thought this was interesting. There were 3 agencies. There were 4 groups of people. I generally thought when they offered it in February, if you voluntarily resign, we'll pay you up until September 30th. And I thought to myself, this economy is not white hot. The job market is down. All these people finding jobs or not. Whatever happened to these people who took it? There were generally about 4 groups of people who should have took the fork in the road. If you were near or eligible for retirement, you probably should have took it, because then you can retire, get paid out from February to September 30th, and then retire after, and you got all of those months to preview retirement while you still got a paycheck. That's category number 1. Category number 2 of people who probably should have taken it were persons who worked at Department of Education, the VA, HHS. Let's make another category, USAID. Those were agencies where you just knew that, these agencies right here, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, those were agencies where it was plainly obvious that their leaders were like, we're making cuts. It is what it is. So if you were at one of those agencies, it made sense to actually take it. If you were on the verge of retiring, it made sense to actually take it. Hold on real quick. Can I adjust something? Let's see, edit. No, I don't think I can adjust it. But those were the groups of people who really should have taken it. I know instances where people who jobs or where they worked at hadn't fired anybody, and they took the fork in the road, and September 30th is here, and now they have no employment. They took the fork in the road back in February. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We're here right now, October 1st, and they were unable to find comparable employment or any employment for that matter. So this is going to be interesting. I actually looked it up and I saw a bunch of videos on TikTok where people were just complaining. I took the fork in the road and I got all these paychecks and I had a real good summer, me and my kids, but now I can't find no job. I don't know. I just think that people underestimated what the economy was going to be. And generally, if the federal government isn't hiring, generally everybody else isn't hiring. There are jobs out there, don't get me wrong, but the U.S. job market is losing jobs left and right. So that's what it is. I'm blessed. I hope everybody else who's going through this is in a position where, you know, they can still do what they need to do to make ends meet. If you're going through anything and you are unfamiliar with any of the programs out there that may be available, reach out to your financial institution and your creditors. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a pivot because we do got some stories. And since we're talking about politics, let's pivot from the federal government to the local government right here in good old District of Columbia. And let's talk about somebody who pled guilty to bribery charges and how ridiculous it is and whether or not they show remorse. Let's check it out.
Also facing a judge today, the former deputy director of a D.C. public safety agency. She pleaded guilty earlier this year to taking a $10,000 bribe, which she describes as, quote, a lapse in judgment.
And today, Dana McDaniel was sentenced to 16 weekends behind bars, more than 3 years on probation, and 6 months on house arrest. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley.
All right, real quick, is $10,000 worth all that? 16 weekends, 3 years of probation, house arrest. You got a felony on your record for $10,000. That's actually cheap for a felony. I feel like if you get in a felony, you should strive and aspire to have taken a higher or a bribe that was worth more money. Let me know. Was $10,000 worth that sentence that they just read?
Is joining us live from the D.C. Bureau tonight.
Yeah, Felicia, you were in court today, and the judge said that government employees need to learn a lesson. What happened?
That's right. And he said that lesson is if you're a government employee and you get involved in these pay-to-play schemes, that there will be consequences. And today, Dana McDaniel felt some of those consequences. Now, today in court, we heard for the first time why she claims she got involved in all of this. She said that she said no multiple times when she was propositioned with this bribe. She said,
all right, let's put my face in the queue here. I don't like it. Why the lighting always jacked up when I jump out of the video? Real quick, I'm gonna rewind that back. She said she was propositioned and she said no multiple times. I'm not, I don't know. No one has ever offered me a bribe, and if they do, I'm going to the police on you. But like, let's just use common sense here. If someone came to me and was like, yo, Marcus, I give you $10,000 if you can do A, B, and C. And I say no. And they come back and say, yo, I give you $15,000. And I say no. And then they come back. She said no multiple times. If the same person asks you to take a bribe multiple times after you say no, it's a 99.9999999% chance that they're the feds. Generally, if I don't know about you. I've never offered anybody a bribe, but if I offer someone a bribe, I'm like, hey man, hey judge, take this and tilt this case in my favor. And the judge is like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm never going back again to be like, hey judge, you want to try another bribe? Like, no. If someone offers you a bribe and you say no, and they come back and you say no, and they come back and you say no, just assume that they are law enforcement or they are acting as an agent for law enforcement. So they're probably the ops. I think that's just a little common sense there, but I thought that was an interesting position that she said no multiple times.
That she said no multiple times when she was propositioned with this bribe. She said she eventually said yes. She claimed that she fell upon financial issues, but she said from the jump, she knew it was wrong.
Financial issues, money problems. Terrible.
It's sad that someone like the confidential informant can have an influence of someone like Ms. McDaniel.
Cameras were not allowed as I sat in the sentencing for former 1Z director Dana McDaniel. In court, McDaniel says she took the bribe out of panic and fear.
Obviously, Ms. McDaniel doesn't agree with the position that she sold herself for her position. Instead, it's our position that she was actually poached and that she found herself in a bad time and had a lapse of judgment and made a bad decision.
McDaniel's guilty plea, as well as Councilman Tran White's arrest, have caused heavy scrutiny of the village.
All right. Let's see. We don't even got to go through the entire video. She pled guilty. She rejected the bribe multiple times, and then in the end, she capitulated. She should have had a clear sign that it was the ops, it was the feds, it was a confidential informant, because that's just weird behavior. But she didn't make the connection. She is tied into the bribery charges that were filed against DC Council member Trayon White. We did a video where we went through his indictment. It looking like he's gonna be screwed too, because they got all sorts of evidence and it was just looking bad, bro. I think he took $30,000 or $35,000. His trial starts in January. She cited financial problems. $10,000 is not enough to. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I just can't relate. Like, I don't know. I'm generally you should not take bribes, but if you are gonna take a bribe, it should be for enough to secure a big ass bag, so you only got to take one. Like, so essentially, her career is kind of ruined. It's kind of a wrap for her. She appeared to show some remorse. The judge said that he believed that she learned her lesson. Now she has a nonprofit where she helps troubled youth. So, you know, hopefully she can pivot, make a turnaround, pivot into a new direction where she can do some good in her community. But politicians, government employees taking bribes is absolutely worse, because it shows that you allowed your lack of judgment to be able to influence how you make decisions that impact your community. It's one thing to, you know, steal money from a program, to just steal it and have it in your pocket. But it's actually worse for a politician or a government employee. I can pay you to impact what you're doing that is supposed to directly impact the community of your constituents. That's terrible, but, you know, hey, now she got to go every weekend for 16 weeks and go to jail and be on house arrest and got a big ass felony on her record. So shout out to her for not recognizing that was a bad decision, but hopefully she learned her lesson. This next story is an actual win. I like to have stories where people secure victories, people secure W's, because so many stories are negative. There's always people doing something stupid or something bad, but this is an actual story. Let me see. I'm trying to find something. I guess I can't do it. Okay. But this next story is an actual win involving a samurai sword. A samurai sword? Like, you know the saying, when somebody bring a knife to a gunfight, you normally assume that the person with the knife is going to get their ass whipped and lose. But this is a situation where somebody brought a knife to a gunfight and actually won. Shout out to the defender in this one. I thought this was a fun one because this is one where the good guy win and the bad guy got his just desserts. Let's check it out.
Story on Action News tonight is the face-to-face encounter between residents and an intruder in their home.
That suspect was stabbed with a sword on the unit block of East Blackberry Alley in Norristown this morning.
The suspect was stabbed with the sword. I don't know. I just find that because if you go into, okay, let's just use a little quick just discussion here. All right, let's just real quick. If you go into a home to commit an armed robbery and you have a firearm and someone is able to stab you with a sword, either they got the drop on you and you just weren't paying attention, or you really didn't want to shoot anybody. You just went in there not expecting to find any person in there, maybe just to burglarize the place and not for it to be an armed robbery. So the fact that you got slashed up with a katana is kind of wild. But, hey, I'm glad the defender won in this case.
Police say they followed a blood trail that led them to the suspect.
Action News reporter Leland Pender joins us now live from Norristown. And what an interesting story here, Leland.
With sword.
Scary moments all the way around, Gray and Shari. I talked to the lead detectives on this case today. They say, thankfully, all of the victims here are okay after that man brought a samurai sword to a gunfight and won.
That's actually crazy. I don't even know how that happens.
It was pretty chaotic scene this morning.
An alarming scene on Cherry Street in Norristown Tuesday morning. Neighbors watched as police took a man into custody who was bleeding profusely after being stabbed with a samurai sword.
When I came out here, he was just laying on the ground. The cops were dragging him.
Police say 35-year-old Marcus Armstrong was...
Damn, man, that's Marcus has got to do better, bro. Like, come on, man. This dude is fucking it up for Marcus's all out there. We all trying to do the good thing. And and this Marcus out here just making it bad for us Marcuses. This is terrible.
Actually the perpetrator of a botched robbery and home invasion a few blocks away. Around 8:45, police allege he robbed a man at gunpoint outside a home on Blackberry Alley while a female escaped inside. That's when police say Armstrong barged through the door, encountering the woman.
He got greedy. Okay, Marcus. How did Marcus get stabbed up with the katana? He got greedy. He robbed the man outside. The female who was with the man ran inside and got away. He decided to follow her inside. So it sounds like the robbery was already effectuated. He already robbed these people. But when the female ran inside, he thought to himself, you know what? I'm in a position of power here. I'm in the mood to just up the hood level of the ignorant stuff that I'm doing. Let me run in after her and barge the door open and got his ass chopped the hell up on some samurai showdown type stuff. He got exactly what he deserved.
His roommate, who was armed with a samurai sword.
The roommate defended himself. He had that samurai sword and took a swipe at the suspect.
Police shared this photo of the weapon, not something they see every day.
Hey, that's a beautiful sword. Hey, that's a beautiful katana. Got that little curve in it. That's a Japanese style curve. You know, the English style swords are straight on some Conan Barbarian stuff. That sword right there is a Japanese style katana. The weight is actually at the tip. So the tip of the end of the sword actually weighs more to give it more power when it slices through. Hey, I'm a weapons guy.
This time someone fought back, and the fact that they used a samurai sword. I can't tell you the last time we've even seen one.
After being slashed, police say the suspect fled to a home on Cherry Street, leaving a trail of blood that ultimately helped police piece together their investigation, but initially alarmed neighbors.
I was just worried, trying to get him some help. And it was upsetting.
The investigation revealed this was a random crime of opportunity when the suspect saw the victims exchanging money outside.
Hey, shout out to Marcus for being stupid, and shout out to the roommate. Yo, a round of applause for the roommate who came through and did what he needed to do. I'm assuming he had the sword in his lap or was cleaning it or something, because that's like odd. Like, I know he didn't just jump up and grab it, but hey, shout out that when you go in somebody's house unannounced without their permission, whatever happened to you, in my opinion, is just fair game. I'm not a fan of if somebody running my house unannounced, I have a duty to retreat and I got to try to retreat. No, I generally believe in the castle doctrine. If you come in my house without my permission, whatever happens after that is your own fault, and that should not be held liable in any way, form, or fashion. So, hey, shout out to him for the roommate for actually coming through on this Genzu type stuff. Now, this next story is actually interesting. I don't know if you all remember, we did a video where I can't remember what the county was, but they utilized a law and filed charges against the parent, a mother, for the criminal acts that her son was getting into. Her son had like 3 felonies, and I want to say he was 13 or 14. One of them included armed robbery. It was crazy. And they asked the police chief, well, why did you file charges against her? And the police chief said, because as this juvenile was getting into trouble, we pointed the mother to resources that could help. And based on our observations, she failed to try to even take advantage of any of those resources. And so they filed charges that I think were charges that were applicable against the mother. And so it led to the discussion of, should parents be charged for the acts of their children? I think it depends on the facts, but generally I'm not opposed to it. Let's check this story out of, I don't know. Some of you all in the chat said minors shouldn't be charged as adults no matter what. I think it depends on the offense. I think if you do some grown person shit, you should get some grown person punishment. So let's check out this story about a 13-year-old. And you let me know, are you comfortable with how this story played out? Fair or foul? Y'all let me know.
Heartbreak and disappointment for a Prince George's County mom today. The young boy.
We stand in the DMV for this story. So this is in PG County, an area I'm very familiar with.
Who murdered her son is now being released from probation. It's a story that News 4 has covered for years. The boy who pulled the trigger was just 12. The victim, 13-year-old King Douglas. News 4's Amy Cho explains why the killer only served 2 weeks in detention and how the victim's mom is helping other grieving families.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. 2 weeks in detention for taking somebody's life at the age of 13, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't give a damn if the young man has pivoted and now he's an honor roll student. Where you going? Huh? Oh, salmon. Thank you. I don't know. Y'all let me know. I'm not a fan of it at all. Both of them children, one young man is no longer here. The other one, his life is apparently not ruined from what we're about to see, but 2 weeks for taking a life for somebody who had the mental capacity to know right from wrong, not a fan at all.
And how the victim's mom is helping other grieving families.
It was meant to be a fun evening with friends. Back in April of 2021, mom came at night, dropped off her 13-year-old son, King, at the Ritchie Station Shopping Center in
know exactly where that is. The Dave and Buster's over there. That's where all the young kids hang out at.
Morrisville, as a reward for cleaning his room.
That's actually crazy to do that as a reward for cleaning his room. I don't know. That sounds weird. I don't know about you all, but at 12 or 13, this is just me. Maybe my kids were a little bit sheltered. I don't know. I wasn't dropping my 12 or 13-year-old son off somewhere to just be left to his own devices to do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, everybody's different, Like at 16, my son was out going to concerts. At 13, I was like, nah, bro. Like, okay, you go hang out, do your thing. I'll be over here at the bar or sitting at the table eating my food or something. Y'all, you and your friends go hang out. Y'all meet me back here in an hour just to tap in, something like that. But I just wasn't opposed to that. That being said, when I was 13, we was all over the place, but times is different now. But I'm generally dropping my 13-year-old off somewhere just like, I don't know. I didn't do that when my son was 13 a few years ago.
For cleaning his room. Shortly after, she got a call from his friends that he'd been shot and killed.
My son was so loving, very handsome, very charming. As a mom, you want justice for your child, and I feel that I didn't really get the justice that I was seeking.
Police say there was a dispute between two groups of young people at the shopping center. The 12-year-old boy who killed King was charged as a juvenile with first-degree murder. Because of his age, his name was not released. That boy served 2 weeks in a youth detention center.
That's absolutely awful. It's absolutely awful that this 12-year-old lost his life. But what's equally awful is that after this young man served 2 weeks in a detention facility. I can't, I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe somebody actually told me I would be too tough on crime, but bruh, gunplay, y'all get in an argument and at 12 or 13 you shot another person and they no longer here. What the fuck? That's not no kid shit. That's not like whooping somebody's ass. That's not like a gang fight. Like purposeful deletion warrants a hard sanction, in my opinion. Y'all let me know. Are y'all cool with what happened in this story? Y'all cool with a 13-year-old only being held for 2 weeks for taking the life of a 12-year-old after a dispute? That's actually insane to me.
Was then released on probation. Now, 4 years later, a judge ruled today the boy's probation is over due to good behavior.
Prom would have been this year. Graduation would have been this year. A lot of things, planning out colleges for my son, and he didn't get a chance to do that, but this boy is able to run around like nothing even happened. So it's upsetting.
In court today, the boy apologized for his actions and said he's changed. The judge also heard letters from several of the boy's teachers saying they've noticed an improvement.
I know how my son would have wanted things to be. My son was a mom, let it go, it's okay type of boy. And so I tried to keep that remembrance of my son.
After King was killed, his mom went back to school and got her associate's degree in criminal justice. She now has a nonprofit called For King We Stand. It offers mentoring to at-risk youth and support groups for parents who have lost children to gun violence.
It's part of my healing. To be able to comfort other parents who have lost their children is healing for me. It's my role as a mom to allow people to know who King was and to be that difference that we need, that change that we need in this community.
Hey, shout out to mom for spinning the positive out of this and doing something productive to help the community. But I don't fucking like that a 13-year-old could take a 12-year-old's life with a gun, which is purposeful deletion. And like I don't know, I'm just not a fan. I actually saw another story. Y'all let me know if you lost a loved one and you lost them due to an act of violence, street shit, gun shit, whatever. And the prosecutor came to you and said, "Hey, we want your input on should we seek the death penalty in that." What would you say? Because I saw a story in the news. I ain't going to play the story, but it was a story of 3 doofuses who tried to burglarize some elderly people. Doofus A was the mastermind, and he said, "Hey, Doofus B and C, I know some elderly people who got a lot of guns, hammers, blicks, pistolas, whatever you want to call them in the house. Y'all can run up in there and get this stuff, and they old people, they're not going to give you no pushback. Here's the address. Doofus B and C, who carrying out the crimes, go to the wrong house. They killed an elderly man who's there, shoot his wife, and now she's paralyzed, but she survived. And it was asked of her, what's her position on the prosecutor seeking the death penalty? And this lady was like, nah, don't seek the death penalty. I don't know. If you lose your loved ones to violence, and they said, "Hey, we want your opinion on should we seek the death penalty," what is your comment? Are you saying yes? Are you saying no? I'm saying the same thing, and it doesn't mean that I support the death penalty and that. Seek the maximum penalty authorized under the law, whatever that is. Like, I don't know. Sometimes, like, I don't know. I commend her for saying no. I don't want those men to get the death penalty who paralyzed me and murdered my husband in cold blood. But and not me. Seek the maximum penalty allowed. If the maximum penalty is firing squad, that's what it's going to be. If the maximum penalty is life, that's what it's going to be. If the maximum penalty is stoning them, it's going to be some stoned asses out there. It's going to be some stoned people. I mean, I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think y'all would do. There are cases where 13-year-olds are charged as adults. What circumstances in this case led to such a light sentence? It is the state or local laws that allow some teenagers to get charged and some not. Hey, thanks for that, Elise. That's actually a good question. Typically, it's the laws in the jurisdiction. So if it's a state offense, they're in state court. Some states say that, like, I know it may have changed now, but back in the day in the state I used to practice in order to be charged as an adult, you had to be at least 16 years old. Some states have statutes that say in order to be charged as an adult, you have to be 16. Some say 13. It just kind of depends where you go. I think all of that shit should be nixed, and it should be based on the offense and the facts surrounding the event. Hypothetically, a 13-year-old is playing with his father's gun and accidentally shoots his brother. That's not a situation where that kid should necessarily be charged as an adult. That is a situation where we may need to charge dad with some negligence and some other shit, but not an adult. This situation we just saw, 13-year-old, 12-year-old get into it at a shopping center, and the 13-year-old pulls out a gun and shoots the 12-year-old in the middle of the fuck no. Adult shit, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. The stupid prize is you're going to get treated as an adult. That's kind of what I think it should be, but it all depends. Great question. It all depends on the jurisdiction that the offense occurred in. But that story was absolutely ridiculous. Now, with that, I actually pieced these stories up in great order. We're going to actually take a look at a teen who was doing something crazy and a parent who was subsequently charged for the actions of their children. Trying to keep everything in order here, folks. I ain't got nothing but time. I ain't got no job to go to. I woke up at 4 a.m. and cooked breakfast. My daughter was extremely happy about that. So let's check out this next story where a parent was charged for actions of their child, and we'll dive in.
A string of car break-ins over the weekend has now led to charges against 3 suspects and several of their parents. Police in Gloucester City arrested 16, 17, and 19-year-old over their alleged involvement in a series of burglaries early Sunday morning. But when police charged the teens, prosecutors opted to also hold their parents to account.
Shout out to the prosecutors here. 100%, I agree completely. Shout out to the prosecutors here who charged the parents. I don't know about y'all. I know, I know sometimes people don't agree with my takes, but should parents be charged for the acts of their minors? In some instances, yes. If the parents fail to exercise appropriate accountability, appropriate oversight that contributes to the offense, prosecutors should charge them. I salute you, prosecutors, on this one.
Accusing them of failing to supervise their children. New Jersey correspondent Trish Hartman has the details tonight.
3 arrests were made after the alleged thefts from vehicles, but the parents of the juvenile suspects were also charged. Police say it's an effort they've been using for quite some time to cut down on juvenile crime.
It was early Sunday morning, around 1:30. Surveillance video shows 3 people walking near vehicles in the Highland Park section of Gloucester City. Police say it was these 3 who were arrested a short time later for breaking into cars and stealing things. You can see one trying to access cars in a driveway across the street, running from the house when a light goes on. Denise Glassman says her son-in-law's car was hit, left unlocked on Saturday evening.
Okay, real quick. Let's just talk about this offense. This is something you see all the time in the city. It sounds like they were breaking into vehicles that were unlocked. People leave their vehicles unlocked all the time. It's not uncommon. I actually used to have a vehicle and it had like a mirror tint on it. So at night you really couldn't see it. And I was literally sitting in the car and I saw this Yahoo just coming down the street checking door handles. And I was like, he don't even know what he about to do. I ain't gonna tell this story. Just know I unlocked the door, and when he pulled on the handle, he hauled ass running, and we'll just leave it at that. But like, it's a crime of opportunity. So I don't think, from the nature of this story, they were like busting out windows. They were looking for people who left things open. So don't leave valuables in your shit. Don't leave your door unlocked. Or if you are gonna leave your door unlocked, I've actually left my door unlocked on occasions, but there's nothing in my car. And I saw where somebody went through my car and didn't take anything. I think I had gum and maybe some change in the ashtray. Shout out to you if you want the gum. If your breath stinks and you need to change, have at it, Haas. You can go ahead and take it. But I think it was a crime of opportunity is what this story is given. Not saying that it was right. Not saying it's a light crime because you shouldn't be fucking with people's stuff. But I think they were breaking in the cars, but I don't think they were breaking in the cars.
That's when he called the police and found out that they had got his car along with all the other cars on the street.
She says credit cards were stolen out of it, and his bike was also stolen out of the driveway.
Who's leaving credit cards in their car, bro? Come on now. Sometimes, I'm not victim blaming, but I'm victim blaming. Like, why would you leave your credit card and your wallet or something like that just in the car? Sometimes you do it on accident. Don't get me wrong. I can see like, oh shit, I left my stuff in the car. But generally, that's actually kind of crazy.
His kids were upset. My grandchildren are very scared now that there's going to be somebody coming to take their things.
Police say several vehicles were burglarized over the weekend. 3 suspects were taken into custody. 2 juveniles from Camden, 16 and 17 years old, and 19-year-old Wesley Hunter from Cherry Hill. Hunter had outstanding warrants and was turned over to Camden County Police. The juveniles were released to their parents, who were also charged with failure to supervise their child.
We need more of this.
If somebody came to my house and said my kids did something wrong, I would take responsibility. Absolutely. These parents need to take responsibility.
The police chief says the charge typically involves an appearance in municipal court and likely a fine. Folks in the neighborhood say they're relieved to hear about the arrest, but are still taking precautions.
So between the dogs and the Ring camera, we just watch out for each other. It's a small little neighborhood that we live in, and that's what we do.
Hey, shout out to the prosecutors there for doing the right thing. Real quick, let's check out some of these comments. I would not oppose the death penalty. I agree with you 100%, bro. It's like I don't know, man. Like losing a loved one to street shit is like, it's like I don't know. It's weird because like if your loved one, I could deal with it more if my loved one is actually doing street shit because I'm just in there adult. Because I'm just like, that's the life you choose to live. If you cool with what you're doing, who am I to judge? But like kids killing kids, bruh, using guns and shit, and like all that shit is terrible. Like all that shit is terrible. And I don't think that hey, shout out to President Trump on this one. He talked about it because that's a big problem in DC with the carjackings. A lot of time it's like 12 and 13-year-olds doing these carjackings, and they're doing the carjackings because one, the sanctions are weak. And I know the attorney general in DC said something like 89% of juveniles who committed crimes are prosecuted. It's not about them being prosecuted. It's about the level of the sanction. What are you charging them with? I guarantee you 89% of juveniles who commit crimes aren't being charged as adults. The statistic is of juveniles who commit high-level felonies, what percentage of them are being charged as an adult versus a minor? That's the statistic that we need to know. But again, not opposed to it. And I see sis, what's going on, Maui? I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, agree that parents should be charged for negligent supervision when their kids are out doing goofy ass stuff like that. They look like they was out early as hell in the morning too. So they look like they were out early in the morning. Now, all right, this last story is going to be interesting. I probably chopped this one up because I know people like hearing stories about Dame Dash. Now, I don't know if you all seen the video I did on Dame Dash where we went through his bankruptcy after his viral Breakfast Club interview. It was actually a hilarious interview and very ignorant. It was some gems dropped at the end, but generally the entertainment versus intelligent value was not equal at all. It was the entertainment value was up here, the intelligence value was down here, but we like entertainment. So of course, I don't know about you all, I watched the entire video. Now, after Dame Dash appeared on the Breakfast Club, he talked about filing a lawsuit. So I want to just watch this real quick clip of him talking about his lawsuit, and we're going to talk about the viability. Now, we did discuss Dame Dash's bankruptcy, how his bankruptcy is probably, he compares himself to the president. He even does it in this video. It was hilarious. But he compares himself to the president by filing bankruptcy, but you are not the same. The president has never filed individual bankruptcy. He's only filed reorganization bankruptcy for his businesses. You are filing personal bankruptcy. So a lot of things came out of this. But let's take a look to talk about his lawsuit, how he's going to use the justice system, and we're going to talk about the validity or the lack of validity that he has in his potential lawsuit. And he did say he filed some, why can't I think of what it's called? Man, why can't I think of what it's called? I'm having a blank. Or whatever. We'll talk about it. When he say it, I'll know what it is, and when he said it, it'll pop right back in my head, and then I'll be like, okay, this is what this means from a legal standpoint. Why can't I remember it? I got all this time on my hand, and I can't. What the hell is it called? I'm drawing a blank, but let's check it out. Shout out to I think I skipped it. I jacked up. Hold on.
A string of car break.
Man, I was doing so smooth, and then I messed it up right there. All right, shout out to the Cam Capone News YouTube channel. They do a lot of great interviews over there, so I definitely wanted to give them their props before we dive in to what Dame Dash has to say about his lawsuit that he's filed and what he planned on doing.
Happened with the chairman, you know, and so to
also
clarify,
it breaks down the reason why I'm suing the Breakfast Club. But I also sent the demand letter to.
That's what it was. Why can't I remember? A demand letter. A demand letter. What is a demand letter? A demand letter is like the lowest thing that you can get an attorney to do. That's the cheapest thing, and they'll probably only do it when they don't want to take your case, but they'll take a couple of dollars from you to do this demand letter. In short, a demand letter is you come to my office, you explain to me a legal cause of action, and I say, okay, I'll send that person the demand letter. And the demand letter, I sent a shitload of them. A demand letter essentially says, we believe we have a viable cause of action against you for this. Negligence, defamation of character is what I think he's going for. And in light of this cause of action, we are going to file this lawsuit unless you reach out to us and discuss potentially settling it for X amount of money. $100,000, $200,000, $10,000, $10,000, $10,000. That's essentially what a demand letter is. It's the lowest, it's actually nothing. What is a demand letter? Is nothing. It's just I'm demanding money from you because I have a potential legal claim. Do attorneys issue demand letters when the legal claim is not necessarily valid? Yes. Is that unethical? Well, it depends. Generally, I would say no. Let's say I'm issuing a demand letter against somebody for defamation. The person may have said something untrue about me, but I haven't. The person may have said something untrue about me. I get my attorney to submit a demand letter. The attorney hasn't done a real due diligence investigation, so he likely just went off of what was told to him by his client. So it's not necessarily a letter that's sent in bad faith. It's just saying that we believe we have a viable claim and you need to give us this bread in order for us to resolve it. Let's go back to see what he talks about.
Pause the Chris, but I also sent the demand letter to pause the Chris Brown lawyer and everyone that was in that whole circle and scene for $200 million. I also,
bro, you sent a letter to an attorney who sued you before and all these other people for $200 million. It's giving goofy now.
sent the demand letter to the lawyer of my baby mothers. I'm not suing my baby mothers, but he was representing them both, and he did a lot of. So I sent him one too as well.
I don't know. When he says I sent him a demand letter, I don't know if he's typing these himself. I don't know if he had his counsel send a demand letter. Like it's actually screaming crazy and broke and just you don't have any real recourse.
And I got a couple more. So again, all the people that have been with me, and I think it's been illegal the way they've been with me. I'm not going.
I don't know. He might be doing these himself. I got a demand letter I'm sending to all the people who've been messing with me, and I think it's illegal. I'm not sure, but I believe it is based on his legal analysis.
And take it to the street because I'm not in the street. I look at what the President Donald Trump does. He sues people. And a lot of times I've been seeing him winning.
Okay, real quick, let's make a distinction between Dame Dash and the president. The president is actually suing a YouTube, got to pay him like 25 million. All these social media companies paid him millions of dollars. I think Meta paid him 10 million for banning them from their platforms. And it's actually interesting because it came out that a lot of those platforms had got pressure from the Biden administration to quell certain discussions around the pandemic and other things like that. But you can't compare yourself, Dame Dash, to the president because the president has the ultimate thing, which is called leverage. When you have leverage, hey, I believe I've been wrong. I'm going to file a lawsuit. And a lot of those people are going to settle that lawsuit because they're not going to want that smoke. Just look at a media broadcasting company. If President Trump believes that a media broadcasting company has violated him legally in some form or fashion, he's going to file a lawsuit. And the media company isn't going to want that smoke because the president at the current time has the control of the FCC. And if you're a media company, would you rather just the lawsuit to go away, or would you rather fight the lawsuit and risk your media empire being shaken up by the FCC due to some investigation? What are you going to do? So, Dame, you are not the president, and the president is definitely not you.
Based on the misrepresentation of, I guess, who they say he is. Whatever reasons, they paying him. So I'm just doing what the president does. President filed for bankruptcy 8 times, then it's all right for me to do it.
Different bankruptcies?
He's a billionaire, so then I could be a billionaire.
You could be whatever you want to be.
He's the president, so then I could be the president. He says what he wants, so I could say what I want.
You could generally say what you want. Yeah, I agree with that part.
He sues people, so I could sue people.
You can sue people, but I don't think you're suing people. A demand letter is nothing filed in court, so I don't really know who you're suing. It's not an actual lawsuit per se, but he has leverage to sue people.
It's the American way.
I do believe lawsuits are the American way.
And that's what people had been doing to me, but I wasn't doing that because I'm just not that guy. I'm still thinking I'm in the street. We're going to handle it in the street. Once the guys I hustle with started suing me with false allegations, and that would be Jay-Z and Biggs on behalf of Rockefeller Inc., then I was like, yo, this is the game. No more. We're not doing street rules no more. You know, we're doing lawful rules. And that's what I got to do.
All right. So based on what he's saying, his lawsuit is probably a defamation lawsuit. I think he said something else about one of the lies that he said were told on the Breakfast Club.
Let me go back to the Breakfast Club real quick. You know, you went on there, it went crazy. You know, were you kind of surprised at how they came at you? Because I kind of expected them to, like, you know, like give you a honest chance to speak. And you know, I was definitely.
They're supposed to be journalists, and Charlemagne, who allegedly had a rape case that we never bring up,
He a chatty patty.
was cutting me off and being aggressive about me. I was hoping that he would definitely respect the journalism aspect of it, but he did not. Told him the documentary, the docuseries. He still said I was lying. He even said I had on dirty sneakers and admitted that he was lying. But the thing is, we on the radio. So if you say I got dirty sneakers playing.
All right, so all the lies he talk about is related to his business ventures. He got caught, Dame. You did get caught capping and lying about being the CEO of Revolt or on the board of directors. But generally, he talking about a defamation lawsuit. Even if they told lies on him on Breakfast Club, he wouldn't have any damages. You would actually have to prove that because of this lie told on the Breakfast Club, I lost income in this particular venture. If you can't prove damages, I mean, it's just a lie that was told about you with no harm. So them saying your sneakers were dirty when they really weren't, no harm, no foul. It's all frivolous, it's all fruitless. Yo, that's it for this morning session. I ain't got nothing else to do. I got some topics, man, because even though federal government is shut down, y'all want to know what's still on tap for Friday? Diddy's sentencing. Diddy's sentencing is still on tap to go down this Friday. Let me see. Let me remove that. Diddy's sentencing is still set to go down this Friday. He had 2 violations of the Mann Act. We talked about the Mann Act before. Had its roots in racism, like a lot of laws in this country, but it was created. So they got tired of Jack Johnson and guys like Rick James going across state line partying with white women. So they came up with this crazy rule. It was pre Rick James, but during Jack Johnson's era where you couldn't take a woman across state lines and engage in debauchery. So his sentencing is still going on. Do I think he will get 11 years? I don't think he'll get 11 years, but I don't think he's going to get time served. I think the judge is going to split the baby. What we will probably do tonight is Cassie submitted a letter to the court and prosecutors submitted a letter to the court for the judge to consider for purposes of sentencing. I'm not going to go through the whole prosecution's packet related to sentencing because I looked at it, it's over 200 pages. I'm like, I'm not reading that shit. But I will point out the highlights. We will dive into Cassie's letter that was submitted to the court. And other people submitted letters on Diddy's behalf saying he's changed and he's doing good. He started a program in the prison called Free Game with Diddy, where he's giving business advice to people in prison and teaching them how they can be entrepreneurs, even in the situation that they are currently in. So he is trying to do some good things. I don't think he's going to get 11 years. I don't think he's going to get 13 months or 2 years either. If I'm guessing right now, and I haven't actually read all of those documents yet, I skimmed them, I would say he probably going to get somewhere along the lines of 3 or 4 years, maybe a split sentence with 2 years of that sentence are active confinement. The remaining 2 years will be held over his head on probation. So if he mess up, they'll have him go do the remaining 2 years. I'm thinking it's going to be something like a split, but we'll go through those documents that were submitted in court. That'll give me an opportunity, because I'm not reading them in advance. that'll give me an opportunity to kind of evaluate how the court is going to balance those submissions that were submitted on behalf of the prosecution and the defense into his sentencing. So that's his sentence is scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. So we'll probably talk about it. If not tonight, we'll definitely talk about it tomorrow. I will tell you, if I do reading of court documents, that's a nighttime show. That's not a morning show. I don't got the bandwidth to be taking those deep dives in the morning. Yo, that's it for this first morning edition, because I ain't got no job currently. So that's it for this video. We'll probably tap in later on tonight on a few topics, not as many as we covered this morning, but a few topics for some other interesting stories out there. As always, I appreciate everybody in the comments who chimed in, who viewed, who support. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe. I don't have anything to do, so I think I'm gonna go out and cut the grass one more time before the cold weather settles in. Y'all take care, be blessed, be safe, peace.